Hi. Hello. My name is Nico van Simpson, and I would like to become a speaker in Turning Point USA. Now, I'm from Belgium, and I have to tell you one of the reasons why I'm making this video for Turning Point USA is pretty simple. Belgium is going down the drain, and that's because of socialism. It's that simple. It's becoming so bad that a lot of companies are closing their doors and there are massive layoffs. Now, one of the reasons of those layoffs, for example, is because government has decided to decide what production should be. So that means that no longer the free market is going to decide what they will buy. No, the government is going to decide what companies should make, should produce. And in order for us, the consumer, to buy that, we are getting bribes in the form of subsidies. So if we buy, for example, an electric car, if we don't like it, we don't want it, it doesn't matter, we can get up to 5,000 euros in tax breaks because we buy an electric car. Now, some people do that because they think like, okay, I want a cheap, relatively cheap way to have another car, and it doesn't matter to them if it's an electric car. But to any other one of us, if you like a car and you have to work for that car, you want at least a car that you choose, with an engine that you choose, with a propellant that you choose, and that is not the choice of the government. That is the choice of the free market, of you as consumer. So the Belgian government has decided that, for example, Audi and other brands should change their production by 2030. Between 2030 and 2035, the whole car park industry should be changed to electric vehicles. Now, I have nothing against electric vehicles. I am even a big fan of Elon Musk, but I'm also a big fan of the free market. It's not up to governments to go and ban fossil fuels. If there is a level of technological prosperity in which it's going to be better to have and to drive electric cars, people will automatically change into those electric cars. But in this case, it's not the case anymore. And it's not just about electric cars. For example, we had a minister, Demir. She made some rules about nitrogen in farming. Okay, now because of these rules, a lot of farmers are having to close the doors because they can't afford the investments that they have to make to reduce their carbon footprint and their nitration footprint. So a lot of these farmers are dairy farmers, pig farmers, meat producing farmers in general. But on the other hand, the European Commission has done a recommendation to Belgium, and not just to Belgium, to the European Union, that we all should eat less meat. Okay, so how do we achieve that? How do we convince the consumer to eat less meat? Because in general, we like meat. I like meat. I like a steak. You can see that, I'm not the skinniest of people. So what they did was pretty simple. You have a minister, they make some rules and some regulations surrounding nitration and carbon footprint in the agriculture sector, and because of that, it became impossible for these farmers to exist. So they have to close down. So that means that we have less meat production. Meat production is in the downfall. Now that causes prices to rise. The price, for example, bacon has doubled in the last year, where Each morning I make breakfast for me and my family, for example, because during the week I work long hours, and because I have a little company here, and we eat every Sunday morning we eat a breakfast with bacon and eggs, for example. So I noticed that bacon and meat in general has become very expensive. We pay in store, for example, we pay up to 10 euros for a little rack of ribs. And that's because there are less and less farmers that are producing meat. And that's how governments are changing the free market. It's no longer the consumer that demands a lot of meat, and the farmer that is going to produce a lot of meat because of there is a large demand of meat. No, it's the government that is going to say now, hey guys, you know what, we want you guys to eat less meat because it's bad for the environment. It is one of the causes of climate change. So that's how they get you. That's how they want to change you in that market. Now eventually, and that's my vision, my personal vision, if we are not careful, we're probably going to end up with some kind of what I should like to call climate communism. Because in communism, it's a tradition that the government, a centralized government, is going to indulge and put in rules and regulation in the industry and say what they have to make. And they are going to put in rules in place what the consumer is going to need. Not what you want, but what you're going to need. They're going to tell you what you are supposed to eat and so on. What car you're going to drive, even how far you are driving, because even these laws are now changing in Belgium. And they simply did it because they lowered all the speed limits in Belgium up to a point that if you, for example, have to do a trip of like 20 kilometers, well, it will take you at least an hour. You can't go anywhere further than 20 kilometers. That's about 10 miles, 12 miles, because it's going to take you more than an hour because of the speed limits that there are. The speed limits are ridiculously slow, and they put in place, of course, also speed traps and other technologies, license plate readers and stuff like that, so that they can follow you and track you everywhere you go. So if you go one click over the speed limit, you're gonna get a fine. If you get too many fines, they will take your license away. Stuff like that. So yeah, I think that if we're not careful in not only in Belgium but also in Europe in general, I think that we are evolving to climate communism, because it has to be all in line with the climate, because there are people that are saying that we need to save the planet. It doesn't matter how we're going to save the planet, if people are going to be happy or not, if people are going to want to change to so-called save the planet, because my opinion is that the planet doesn't need saving. I'm a bit of an optimist. If I look at, for example, cars have become more and more economic in the last 20-30 years. I owned a car 30 years ago, one of my first cars that I owned. It consumed about 10 liters, 12 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, the most of the cars now, 20 years later, 30 years later, they do about half of that, about 5 liters every 100 kilometers. So technology is improving a lot, especially also with the hybrid cars and stuff. So we are going forward in very good ways, but it has to be progress that is made by the free market and not by government. It has to come from consumers that want better products, that want to give their money to those better products. And it has to be to the companies to produce those better things that are more economical, better quality, and all sorts of stuff. Because the government doesn't know what we want. It's not up to them to say what we need to eat, when we need to eat, or how much that we need to eat. It's not up to them to decide if I need my car today or not. It's not up to them to go and decide what kind of job that I have to do, for example. And it's getting very bad for a moment in Belgium, up to a point that even making videos like these, I put my door open for liabilities, like misinformation, for example. A lot of people are saying like, okay, but you're telling misinformation. Well, I'm not telling any misinformation. I'm just saying what I'm experiencing here in Belgium. I can show you that in pricing and stuff and all sorts of things. So I want to give a warning to America with like the next election coming up. Don't vote for socialism. Don't vote for people that want to buy your vote, that want to give you all sorts of stuff so-called for free, because it doesn't work for free. It's that simple. Somewhere somebody is paying for it. Free education isn't free. Teachers have to be paid. Free healthcare isn't free. They say like in Belgium you have good healthcare. No, we don't. No, we don't. I have been on a waiting list in the last 2 years now to get my knee changed. I have bad knees and I need a knee replacement, and I'm on a waiting list. My knees are not bad enough to get replaced, and either you get the choice to pay it out of your own pocket, all the while that we are taxed up to 60-70%. And even now they are contemplating to increase or invent other types and forms of taxation, because they never seem to have enough money to pay for everything. And that's because they want to give, or they want to buy votes from people that want all sorts of free stuff. For example, in my company, my biggest competitor is my government. My government, did you understand that? It's my government, it's nobody else. Because my government gives you up to 1,500 euros a month, and you don't even have to work for it. If you go and work in a general job in Belgium, you get paid around 2,000 euros net after taxes. And that's not even really after taxes, because in the end of the year you're gonna get maybe 10% extra taxation. It depends on if you're owning a house or what your expenses are and stuff like that. So we have a very complicated tax system that you never know what you are earning that period of the year. It's that simple. So it's getting really bad in Belgium in that sense, and in Europe in general, because most of the European countries they're simply bankrupt. And I hear the same about America. Yeah, but America is bankrupt. I don't think that America is bankrupt. Far from it. But if you guys continue on the path that you are going in the last 8 years, for example, or the last 10 years, I'm afraid that you're going to end up the same as what we experience here in Belgium. And that's why I would like to become a speaker for Turning Point USA, because I want to warn the American people not to choose socialism, because it's going to end in tyranny. It's that simple. It never ends well. If I had the possibility, if I had the means, because I'm an orphan, I was born an orphan, I'm not rich, I have to work every day to earn my money. But if I had the possibilities, or somebody gave me the opportunity, I would in a heartbeat want to live in the USA. I would come immediately to America, and I would probably be pretty successful, because if you work hard and smart, you should have an advantage over other people that are not willing to work. It's that simple. And that's all the reasons why I have made this video, and I hope somebody at Turning Point USA gets a look at it, and they like me and they see that I'm a very attractive young man with a lot of potential, and they're gonna contact me and they're gonna give me the opportunity to come and speak at events of Turning Point USA. Or maybe they want to open up a chapter here in Belgium, and I could go and speak at universities, or find people to support Turning Point USA from the European side, because it's necessary. If we don't do it, I guarantee you there will be, in the end, it's going to end in some kind of climate communism. It's that simple. It's that simple. So thank you a lot for listening, and I hope that I hear something back from Turning Point USA quickly. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye.